Hi everybody, it's Kate from Katie Did. I've had a few of you express some questions about the septarian nodules that I found recently, so I came back here to pick up a few of them. I'm going to cut them, see if I can cut them. If they don't crumble into pieces, I will try to polish them, and we'll make a video out of it. So let's go find some. So many beautiful rocks. So what's the deal? When I'm looking for agates, I find septarians. When I find looking for septarians, I find agates. Oh well, I'll take it. This is where I saw the septarian nodules earlier, so unless somebody has hauled them away, I should be able to find them. So I figured out what happened, and that is that the place where I saw them earlier has gotten bulldozed over. However, luckily, I have found kind of a pocket here, and I'll see if I can find some that are worth taking home. So this is the closest I do to mining, at least so far. I did look for sapphires once, and that was super fun, but this is the first time I've actually dug for crystals. And it's pretty weak compared to some of the stuff that I've seen other folks do, but it sure is fun anyway. You see, these are just completely loose in the ground here. This one doesn't look like it's got a lot of pockets in it. There's some really pretty crystals here. Boy, the crystal pocket in this one is quite wide. Interesting. Okay, one more peek. And I'm also going to put the rocks that I didn't take back up where they were. I doubt very much that it matters, but I don't want to leave a mess. This is a construction zone, so wow, that's a big one. I don't want to leave something in a place where it's going to cause problems for the equipment. And as I say, it's probably not necessary, but better safe than sorry, I guess. So those nodules better be polishable because they're heavy. Actually, it's all right. I need the exercise. This is actually one of the nodules that I picked up. I noticed that it had this clam structure on this side, and so I gave it a shot of trying to clean it up using my diamond bits, but I'm still very, very inexperienced at it, so I think I need some assistance from people who know what they're doing. Anyway, this is just a common clam that's found often around here. So this is basically a hard mudstone that is filled with calcite crystals, and so it's not terribly hard, and sometimes it doesn't have. This one actually is filled in the interior, but one of them I cut was just mudstone, and it had the only thing was it had the crystals on the top, so it wasn't terribly interesting. Here is another one. I'm going to try to cut this because it looks like it has at least a little bit of the crystal structure inside. So I'll take a slice of that and see if maybe we can find something interesting to look at. So here we are set up with the slab saw, and I have here, this is a really unusual shape, and it's very, very big compared to what I usually cut. I had to put it in this direction because of the way the crystal lines are. I'm really hoping that I'll be able to at least have some that show up in the matrix itself rather than being just on the edge. I have used here some wooden blocks, wooden triangles, to wedge the piece into shape, because you can see it's really a kind of a triangular shape itself. So in order to hold it tightly, I used these little wooden wedges. And Marlena Atkins actually gave me this tip, and I really think it makes it a lot easier to make the rocks secure. So thank you, Marlena, and let's see how this goes. While the slab is cutting, let's take a closer look at some of the other septarian nodules that I brought home. Take a look at these crystals. This is a little seam of calcite crystals, and I am going to test my thought that it's calcite by putting it in vinegar. So that'll be fun. This is a bowl of vinegar that's already been soaking some of the mucky stuff off of the outside of some of the rocks that I've found. And here is the calcite. Calcite should fizz in vinegar, so here's hoping we have a fun little experiment. It's not very fizzy. Maybe it's not calcite. Does anybody know? Speaking of experiments, I have here some coral and some petrified palmwood that I've been soaking in vinegar, and then I let the vinegar evaporate and the calcite or whatever mix of calcium comes out of there kind of recrystallizes on top of the rocks. It's just kind of a fun experiment, and it also etches the rocks so that they are a little bit more it exposes more of the petrified part. So that's pretty. I'm going to go ahead and wash these off and see how well etched they are. This is actually a piece of chain coral that I found down by the Yellowstone River before it was flooding. And I put it in this stuff called CLR, which is calcium line rust remover. And I haven't taken it out yet, but it gave us this kind of gross looking outside. So I'm curious to see what happens when I wash this off as well. So this is it once I kind of scraped some of the mung off of it. It appears to have been dissolving the coral part rather than the matrix, which is not what I wanted to do. I'm going to scrub at it with a wire brush and see what happens. Well, this is definitely not what I was hoping would happen, but you know, any experiment is a good one because it teaches you what the outcome will be. I'm going to put this in vinegar, see if anything else happens to it. My calcite, which apparently isn't maybe calcite, is just sitting there not doing anything at all, so strange. This is the stuff that was on the outside of the rock. It looks like riced cauliflower. Okay, we're going to try this with some fresh vinegar, and then we'll put the other unidentified piece in there as well. My thought is probably that there's not going to be much of a reaction from this because it's been sitting in the calcium remover for quite a long time. And that one is doing nothing as well. So, pretty exciting stuff so far. Okay, now it's time to take this stuff off of the rocks and rinse them off and see what kind of beautiful etching we've accomplished. The vinegar has emptied out these holes. They were filled with some kind of mineral, probably calcite, and it soaked them out of there. This one is probably coral, and I really like the little dots that kind of appear on it. I don't know how hard these are. It'd be kind of cool to try tumbling them and see if they polish. Okay, one more. This was just vinegar that these were soaking in, but they've been in there for quite a long time, like maybe a week. And here, actually this is the second time I soaked it in vinegar. And so you can see the etching is getting a little bit deeper, and you can start seeing the little individual, I have no idea what those little things are called, but those little dots are all individual pieces of the coral. That's really cool. And here we have the pieces in the fresh vinegar. There are a few small bubbles coming up, but nothing like what I would expect if it was pure calcite. So we'll let these sit again, and at some point we'll come back and check on them, and I'll show you then. Okay, so a little bit of the crystals have formed in the cracks there, which is what I'm kind of looking for. And you can see there is also this really interesting kind of brown versus gray versus really dark brown mineralization on the inside of this mudstone. And so, you know, obviously it was formed out of a number of different minerals. Each of the minerals causes a different color. Septarians themselves, the word septarian, some people think that it means that it has 7 sides, the individual separations have 7 sides. But it's actually from the same Latin root as the word septum. Septum, you know, the divider between your nose, between your nostrils. And it just means a divider. So that's what these are, these little crystal pockets here. It's not really what I was hoping for, but it's pretty anyway. Some of the septarians actually have these crystals all the way through, and I haven't ever cut one personally, and it may be that this type that's found here in eastern Montana doesn't do that, but it's still kind of fun to play with it. There seems to be something going on in our vinegar. I suspect it's from the palm, or excuse me, I suspect it's from the coral and not from the little other piece that I put in there. Let's see if that has any kind of change. As far as I can tell, that looks exactly the same. Well, so somebody else is going to have to tell me what this is, because it's not calcite. This is Kate from Katie Did. Keep on doing.